week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick.
What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Blair, the Flair, Cobbs. Get this. Cobbs targets Thurman, Mikey Garcia, Adrian Broner, Connor Ben. I've been trying to get top contenders. The mission remains the same for Blair the Flair Cobbs. A stiff test awaits for the outspoken welterweight who faces Alexis Rocha in a scheduled 10-round co-feature on Saturday's DAZN show from the USC Galen Center in Los Angeles. The hope is that with a win, Cobbs can proceed with his usual list of more noticeable boxers whom he'd prefer to share in the ring. And this is what he had to say. He said, quote, "I've been trying to get a hold of a lot of top contenders," Cobbs said. "I would love a fight with former WBA and WBC welterweight champion Keith Thurman, former 4-division champion titleist Mikey Garcia. Please sign the contract. You got nothing else to lose. You're going to lose, but you're going to sign the contract, make a lot of money, and be relevant again. We have 4-division title holder Adrian Broner. He's still the problem. We need to get him back in the ring, back in action with Blair the Flair." Okay. And the Connor Ben fight is a mega fight. Cobbs, which is 15-0 with 10 KOs, has called out the top welterweights for as long as the light has shone on his career. The 32-year-old southpaw from Philadelphia, who lives in Las Vegas and trains out of Freddie Roach's Wild Card Boxing Club in Hollywood, has been a pro for 9 years despite only entering his 17th pro fight, which explains his eagerness to elevate the competition level. For now, he has to settle for crossroads with Rocha, which is 18-1 with 12 KOs. A welterweight from Santa Ana that is coming back on the scene, and he has won 2 fights thus far. Cobbs has every intention of using this fight as a springboard for the opportunities he feels that he's long deserved. We need big mega fight attractions, insists Cobb, who has just knocked out Brad Solomon, and I saw that fight, and I'm going to get to you guys. He said, "I don't know if even I'll get credit for beating Alexis, but they'll probably just say, oh, who did he beat? Because they love saying that about me. But I'm in the fire fighting these contenders that truly believe that they can beat anybody. Nobody else is doing it. Even the young and upcoming fighters, they're not calling each other out, and I'm the only one calling everybody out. When it's done and I'm at that level, I don't want to hear none of that bull. I put in work. Let me see these other guys knocked down and get back up and fight. Let me see you get hurt right quick, go through some struggle." Blair the Flair has been through some struggle. Okay, let me counterpunch. I've been hearing about Blair the Flair Cobbs for a while, last month or so. And the problem is, as long as you are fighting at a certain level, you will always be at that level. Okay, it's almost like getting a job and keeping a job title without any advancement. Okay, and he's doing a good job where he's at. He's at a contender level, but being a contender, he's fighting like prospects. So as long as you're fighting prospects, you will never get the credit you deserve. As you heard him say, I'll never get the credit for like beating Alexis. More than likely you won't. Okay, and what I see about Blair the Flair, I seen the Brad Solomon fight. Tough guy, he's very eager, very energetic, southpaw, tough Philly fighter, fights with sticks, stones, and bottles in the streets of Philly. Right? He's tough. Like a lot of Philly fighters are tough. They just make them that way up there. But I don't see any of these guys wanting to fight Blair the Flair. Okay, I don't see none of these guys taking an opportunity to just beat this guy because nobody does that these days. Listen, Blair the Flair would be probably best 20 years ago. Okay, so if this was 2002, he would be in a perfect situation. All he had to do was keep winning because eventually he would fight someone that would want to fight him. Unfortunately, that was 20 years ago. People don't do that now. Not Thurman, not Broner, not Garcia, not Spence, not any of these guys. They don't do that no more. Because Floyd changed the game. Floyd was like, you know what? Quit fighting all these tough fights and fight the fights that really matter. Boom. Therefore, fight the fights that really matter for the money. Okay, for the money. And leave all those or duck, basically, or avoid or swerve these tough fighters. See, I have no doubt that Blair is a tough fight, but that's the point. Nobody wants tough fights no more. That's old school. Nobody does that. People wait around. They fight guys that's either washed up, injured, old and washed up, right? And not a huge risk. They want riskless fights. Okay, prime example, Jamal Charlo taking on Mikey Sulecki. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a fight people want to see. Okay, like, those are the type of fights that Al Heyman has no problem convincing or advising these fighters to do. A lot of people blame Al Heyman, but then people need to understand Al Heyman had an illegitimate son and his name is Floyd Money Mayweather. These guys heard and seen Floyd make all this money, so everybody wants to duplicate, emulate, participate in that particular avenue, okay? But they don't want to fight the best. And see, unfortunately for Blair, like if you heard him say, hey, well, if I get on, if I'm at that level, I don't want to hear nobody say anything. Well, that's unfortunate because a lot of these guys, if he does get a fight with Danny Garcia, which I doubt, you know what I mean? The Battle of Philly, but he would then have to do something. And then that's the thing. You have to fight someone worth somebody else wanting to fight you or bring something to the table, because these guys are not just going to fight you for little money and a banged up night of boxing. You know, they don't want a tough night of boxing. You know, and guys like Adrian Broner, he's trying to demand $10 million from Al Heyman. So you think he cares about fighting somebody named Blair Cobbs? Blair Cobbs. Yeah, his name is Blair Cobbs. I thought about Ty Cobbs. But Blair the Flair, right? No, he won't. They will swerve him because they don't need to. And then the first narrative would be, he's fighting on the zone. So, you know, you heard Errol Spence throw that smoke screen up a couple years ago. You on the wrong side of the street. So, yeah, you're not going to get Al Heyman fighters in the ring. You're not going to get them. And even if he signed with that, that's not guaranteed to get them. Okay? Because there's a lot of fights that you want to see that we won't see. Or we should have seen that we haven't seen. Okay? So, Blair the Flair, I wish him well today. I might look at it, go live or whatever for the main event. But his struggle, him being already 9 years, I'm like, okay, he needs to think about his management company or something. You know, because 9 years, you're 32. Dude, you only have a good 10, maybe 15, but a guaranteed 10 to fight effectively. Some people fight longer, but, you know, of course, you see how the damage has inflicted on them over the time, especially if they fight longer than a particular time frame. That CTE starts kicking in because damage, and the older you get, your reflexes slow, and then you're not as effective enough to avoid shots. So it happens. So I wish Blair the Flair the best. I seen him in the Solomon fight. Solomon's a slick counterpuncher. And I don't know how powerful Solomon was, but Solomon was hitting him at will. Yeah, he showed he was tough, but like, try doing that shit with Keith Thurman, or better yet, Danny Garcia, that has some real thumping power, that does know how to throw hooks effectively. You know, that's what you want to worry about dealing with those type guys, okay? Because those guys will take your head off because, he takes pictures when he punches. I see that. His chin is too high. He's with Wild Card Jim. I don't know. Maybe that's just a habit that he's not going to break. So if it's not going to break that habit, somebody may chin check him, and we will see how tough he really is at that point. But that's one thing I didn't like. Everything else I do. I like the self-motivation. He promotes himself. That's what you got to do. It hasn't been this, but hey, now at least, through the luck of fate, should I say, he has elevated himself to the main event. So if he does a good job, we will see what happens. Keep promoting yourself. I wish him the best. You guys tell me what you think about Blair the Flair Cobbs. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.